Hi guys, I'm Alejandro Riola, and I'll be interviewing the director for Christmas Carol.
Hi, my name is Zach White, and I'm the director, as you said, for Christmas Carol here at the historic Seminole Theater in downtown Homestead.
And today I have some questions here that we're going to be asking our lovely director. All right, so I'm going to
Let's
pull
do it.
out from the hat.
All right.
Some little questions. So first one is, if you were to audition for a Christmas Carol, what role would you want?
Man, that's a tough one. There are a lot of good roles in this show, especially for an older gentleman like myself. I can't play kids anymore. But I think, honestly, I think I'd want the narrator. The narrator sort of sets the tone for the entire show. It's always been my favorite. All the versions of Christmas Carol that I've watched, I've always loved the narrator, and it's been my favorite character. So I think I'd want that one if I was to be cast in this show.
Okay, awesome. All right, and then for this next one, let's see. What did you use for inspiration for this production?
Oh, a lot of things.
Any specific movies?
Well, I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and I'm a big fan of the George C. Scott Christmas Carol. So if you're a fan of that particular version of this show, you might see a few of those characters in my characters. But basically, I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and I watched a lot of the movie versions, and took the parts I liked and what was feasible in a play environment, and went from there.
Did you just use Christmas Carol movies, or did you use other like Christmas movies or any?
No, it was mostly just Christmas Carol. I mean, there's it's a pretty unique production in that aspect that I can't really take things from other movies and put it into this. So it was just Christmas Carol.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Do you prefer directing musicals or straight acting plays?
Okay. Well, I'm going to let the audience in on a little secret. This is actually the first time I've directed anything.
Oh, okay.
So I don't really have a basis for comparison. But I have been in a few musicals, and I've been in more like straight acting plays than musicals. And musicals are a lot of work. Let's just say that. Plays, I feel like you have a little bit more of a creative outlet to sort of do what it is that you want to do. Whereas in a musical, you're more confined by the music and the direction of the show, that it has to go a certain way to gel with the musical score and that sort of thing. So I think I would rather prefer to direct just straight plays, as opposed to trying to venture off into musical territory.
Okay, all right. All right, let's see this next one. What message do you hope the audience gains from this production?
It's a classic Christmas story. So I hope that they take away the message that I'm looking for them to take away is that Christmas and the holiday season is not about how much money you have and how much money you can spend on things, and it's about family. It's about doing things together. It's about the love and companionship, and that's the true meaning of the season. And I think that's the journey that we see Scrooge take.
Yes.
And I think that's what I want the audience to take away from this.
All right, awesome. All right, let's see what's next. What made you want to direct this production?
So it's something I've always wanted to do. Not necessarily, this specific production. In general, directing. I met my wife at the theater back in Virginia. We belonged to a theater in Virginia called the Peninsula Community Theater. And I met her there. She had been a stage manager there a long time, and she had done assistant director, assistant stage manager. And I'd watched the directors there, and then I watched her when she did her production of Annie here last summer. And it's something that I was like, I want to do that. I think it would be cool to see my vision come to life on the stage, to have my direction and my ideas out there and see it come to life. And it's sort of just been a goal of mine. I don't know if there's another question like that, or if I should just continue.
believe
But,
there was, but you can answer.
it can go in. It can go into it. But so when we first got here, we came to watch Hairspray. I think what was that 2 summers ago, and we approached Mickey and was like, really want to do Peter and the Starcatcher, and Mickey was like, we don't really have a community theater group here. We don't really have that sort of thing. It's sort of other productions come in and they do the plays and whatnot. And I was like, okay. And then they formed the Seminole Theater Players, and so the whole idea for doing In the Heights, and then Annie came up. And I was like, you know what? It'd be great if we did a Christmas show. I was like, there's no better Christmas show than A Christmas Carol. I was like, I want to do that. And this was back when Annie was not even on yet. It was still in production, and I was up there. I was bugging Mickey I was like, look, I found a script. Look, here's my set idea. I was like, I want to do this. And he's like, hey, you need this, this, and this. And I was like, all right, next week I'll got it. And it just sort of went from there. And here we are, sitting on the upper floor of the set. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay. Next question is, what scene do you hope has the most impact on the audience?
Oh man, there's a lot of those.
But like, what one in specific do you hope that like the audience really like
which one do you think? Which one do I hope makes them cry, or which one do you think?
Something makes them cry, something makes them laugh, something that'll shock them maybe.
Ooh, I think it's your scene actually. Not the young Scrooge and Belle scene. Yeah, okay. That's a good one. That's a little tearjerker. I mean, you guys can judge for yourselves when you come watch the show. But had my stage manager crying when we were rehearsing it. So just
I wasn't expecting that.
That's a powerful scene, and I think that's one of the better ones. I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, all right. I wasn't expecting that one. All right. Let's see. What is your favorite set piece, or just like set?
Oh well, the set. So you can't really see it in the limited view that you have of the camera looking at us, but so we're sitting on the upper floor of the set, and this is Scrooge's bedroom, and down below us we have the office and what constitutes the street, and where all the rest of the scenes take place. And it's a massive set, and it's our set builder Frankie Navarro and his team put together a masterpiece, and I can't really describe it. You're gonna have to come see it. It's amazing. So my favorite set piece, I guess, is the set, the set itself. The whole thing is just it's a masterpiece of engineering.
You don't have any like specific. Oh, I like how.
Well,
the bedroom looks better.
Well, I'm particularly proud of the platform,
okay.
And the Scrooge's office and Fezziwig's office and a couple other scenes take place on this platform that moves in and out of the set. And it's got a piece that flies up that covers up the bedroom, and then it comes back down to cover up the office when the office retracts, and that's amazing. So that's my favorite piece. The platform. The platform's my favorite piece.
I think that the platform's going to be really cool for the audience to see.
Yeah.
All right. What show would you love to direct in the future?
Well, I'm going to go back to my answer from the previous one. I still think I'd really love to do Peter and the Starcatcher. Yeah, I saw that. It was I think it was Virginia Players in Norfolk did Peter and the Starcatcher, and it was amazing. It blew me away, and I think that's when the first idea was like, you know what, I'd really like to do that, and I'd still like to do that.
I think it'd be cool. I think you'd do a great job.
I don't know. We'll see, but I think it would do great here. And it was one that we had planned to do back in Virginia before we moved down here to Florida, and I think it would do great there. It's a great show, and I hope at some point, because my wife and I are moving on here, we're both military, so we're PCSing at the end of the year. But at some point, I hope that the Seminole Theater Players do that show. I think it would be a great show to do.
If you do, expect an invite.
Oh yeah, I'll come back from wherever I am. I'll fly down and I'll watch it. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. What was your favorite scene to direct in the whole show? Like, I know you answered you hope that.
So
break-in scene.
the Scrooge and Bell scene was really fun to direct, but I think and it's another one of yours. It's the Fred's party scene was the most fun. I think that's full of energy. It's got a lot of funny moments, and that's really not any of my doing. I mean, we've got a great cast of characters here that, and I say characters in the literal and the figurative sense. A literal cast of characters that bring this to life in a way like no other, and that scene is very funny, and I love it. That was my favorite one to do.
All right, cool. Okay, let's see. Okay, in 3 words, how would you describe like how the show came out?
Ooh, so just describe the show in 3 words.
3 words, yeah.
Powerful, emotional, and thoughtful.
Okay, I like those words. Yeah. I wouldn't even know what to say. So
that was one of the questions. Remember I told you I had answers for 90% of those. I've been thinking about that one.
That one I was like, if I was asked this, I wouldn't know what to say. It's just so many things.
There's so many things that you could say about it, but I think that those 3 would sum it up, and that's.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's see. All right. Okay, here's one. Since you said you're new to directing,
yep.
I thought it would be cool to ask you: do you prefer, now that you have a little taste of directing, directing a show or acting in a show?
Both of them present their own challenges. When I first embarked on this whole crusade, as it were, my wife Misty, she, like I said, she did Annie this summer, and she's done some other stuff before. She was like, it's not as easy as just telling people where to stand on the stage and pointing and do this. And boy, did I find that out that was true. And so it's acting in a show, and you have your own lines to memorize, and you have your blocking to memorize, and you got to have the whole your sections in the back of your head. On the other side of the fence, on the director's side, you've got to take the entire show in your head. You've got to take everybody's blocking, everybody's lines. You have to know the show backwards and forwards. You have to know in your head where everything is at a given point. And I think I'd like to direct again, but I might take a break and go back to acting in it. It's a very stressful, and we'll go with that. It's a very stressful endeavor, but one that's completely worth it once you see everything come together. It's amazing to see everything come together, and it's worth every gray hair and every nightmare in the end.
Okay, I see. So you don't have a preference, or
I don't really have a preference. I mean, I've acted in not anywhere near as many shows as a lot of people, but I've done that, and now I've done this, and I think each has their own challenges, and I like the challenges that come with each one. And I think if given the opportunity to direct again, I would definitely do it. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's see. All right, so this kind of goes back to what you answered before, and it's was this show something that you always had in mind to direct, or did it just the Christmas card and you're like, hey, I want to direct it?
Yeah, so it kind of goes back over what we said before. It's something I always loved this show, and I mean I told my wife, I was like, if I could do a staged version of the George C. Scott Christmas Carol, I'd do it in a heartbeat, and I tried.
So everything kind of just fell into place.
But it fell into place. I mean, I told you when we first got here, we wanted to do Peter and the Starcatcher, and we didn't have the theater group. It was too early for that. We hadn't formed the community theater thing and that whole business. And then it's just sort of, this was a better fit for for the time frame. And I was like, you know what? Homestead needs a Christmas show. Let's do a Christmas Carol. And I was like, I'll put my hat in the ring. I'll do it. Just tell me what I need to do. And the Seminole Theater board was like, sounds like a great plan. Let's do it.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's something that I've always wanted to do. And it's just I've never known how to bring that about. You know what I mean?
Until recently.
So it's sort of a meeting of want and opportunity. And it was just the right place at the right time.
Seizing the moment.
Yep, yeah. Seize the moment.
All right, let's see. All right, so you mentioned, directing has its biggest challenge. So now that you've directed a show, what is the biggest challenge you found directing?
Keeping track of everything. There's a lot of plates you have to keep in the air. Getting, for example, the lists for microphones, getting the costumes on time, figuring out the lighting, figuring out what the set's going to look like, figuring out how you're going to do rehearsals, and scheduling all those rehearsals, being at all those rehearsals, because as the director, I can't take a sick day. And it's like I said in other answers, it has its own special challenges, and it's but like I said, it's worth it in the end. It's a process, and it's I don't know, that's about as
just kind of
that's how I can describe it right now. I mean, I don't know.
So just kind of like having an eye on everything.
Yeah, you've got to be very organized,
Yeah.
and that is a challenge sometimes for everybody.
Yeah.
And
I know, yeah. I feel that, yeah. All right. Let's see. So what is it like to have, now that, the set's done, you have all your cast, the costumes, so what does it feel like to have, something you've had in your mind for a long time and see it kind of like be right in front of you, like have it be like you can touch it and see it?
It's amazing. I mean, I saw the drawings and the 3D renders that our production team did for what the set was going to look like, and let me tell you, just being able to sit up here and walk out and look at it, it's a whole different ballgame. It's absolutely amazing to know that this is something that I had in my head, and this is what I told somebody I wanted to do, and they delivered tenfold. And seeing all the actors, seeing the costumes, seeing this amazing set, it just brings it all together, and it's going to be an amazing show. It's great to see it come to life finally. And
all right, and then this is, I believe, the last question.
all right.
So all right, so how was the audition process? You said you were an actor, so what did you notice was the main difference, being an actor going to an audition and being a director being at an audition?
It's the hardest thing you'll ever do. So let me explain that. As an actor going to an audition, right? So you come to the theater, and they give you some sides to read, and you read your sides, and then you're done. You go home, and you either get a call that says, "Hey, you got the part," or you get a call maybe that says, "Hey, you didn't get the part," and that's it. As the director, I have to make those calls that said, "Hey, you don't get the part," or "Hey, you did get the part." And this show, I mean, Homestead continues to amaze me. When we first started this community theater group, we were really afraid that there wasn't going to be the talent here. Like there wouldn't be the talent, there wouldn't be the interest, nobody would come out, and that sort of got blown out of the water with Annie. We had over 100-something little girls come to audition just for Annie itself, and for this one we were like, oh, maybe we won't get enough guys. There were over 200 people, and about half of those were very talented male actors as well. And having to narrow that down, it gets to the point, and it's a great problem to have, let me tell you. But it got to the point where we were cutting good people because we had excellent people to fill the roles. And it's something I never expected in the small town, and it's exceeded all the expectations. And I think that's the hardest part, is having to cut good people because you've got better people. And I mean, it's that having to make those decisions and live with them when it's done. That's the hardest part and the most stressful part of the audition process.
Okay, well, that's it. And I also just wanted to say that I think you did an amazing job.
Thank you.
Directing the show.
You're still in the show.
Yeah, I still am in the show, but this far you've done a spectacular job.
Thank you.
Hopefully I'll be another actor of yours in another production you direct, because really enjoyed working with you. And then those who haven't or are not planning on coming to see the show, I highly suggest you come see the show.
Absolutely.
It's super amazing. Not just saying it because I'm an actor in it. I see the other scenes, I see the other actors, putting in their work, and I just think everyone's doing an amazing job, and that everyone should take a little slice of this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So the show's running from the 21st through the 23rd of December, the weekend before Christmas, and it runs Also, the weekend after Christmas, the 28th through the 30th. If you don't have your tickets, go get them now. Come see the show. It's an amazing show. We have an amazing set. We have an amazing cast. And it's going to be an experience that you haven't seen before here in Homestead. So come check it out.
All for just $15.
All for just $15. All right. Thank you, guys.